Hello students, welcome back to my lecture series on finite element and computer aided engineering. In today's lecture, we will discuss different types of nodes and elements used in finite element analysis. For doing the finite element analysis, you have to discretize the domain. That simply means you have to convert the continuous volume into discrete volume, or you have to convert the infinite number of points or volume into finite number of points or volumes. For that we use finite elements. Finite elements comprises of nodes, and nodes are nothing but the selected finite points at which you try to determine the basic unknowns such as displacement in elastic problems. So elements are comprises of nodes. The nodes are used to connect the element within, and also to connect this element with the neighboring elements. The elements may be 1D, 2D or 3D elements. When you try to find out the basic unknown at any point inside the element, you have to approximate or interpolate the properties at nodal values using shape function or interpolation functions. There are different types of nodes: primary, secondary, external and internal nodes. The external nodes are those which occurs on the edges or surface of the element, and they may be common to two or more elements. You can see the example of primary and internal nodes, where 1 and 2 are the primary nodes and 3 and 4 is the internal nodes. Similarly, you can also see the example in case of 2D elements: 10 noded triangular element and 9 noded Lagrange element or rectangular element. You can see 1, 2 and 3 are the primary nodes, whereas 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are the secondary nodes, whereas 10 is the internal nodes which don't have any connection with the any primary or secondary nodes. This kind of nodes are used to determine the geometrical isotropy in case of finite element discretization. You can also see these nodes in case of Lagrange rectangular elements. So primary nodes generally occurs at the ends of one-dimensional elements or at the corners of two or three-dimensional elements. Secondary nodes occur along the side of an element but not at the corners. So you can see secondary elements on the sides but not on the corners. So internal nodes are the nodes which occurs inside an element, and they are specific to that element and not connected with any other node. So such nodes are selected to satisfy the requirement of geometrical isotropy, as I said earlier. So the basic nodal unknowns may be, you can say, the displacement for stress analysis, temperature for heat flow problems, and potential for fluid flow or magnetic field problems. For the problems like truss analysis, plane stress and plane strain, we can only determine the one parameter continuity, that is, it is enough if we have only displacement continuity or the continuity of the shape function in terms of displacement over the entire domain, and we need not to go for continuity of the slope at any nodal points. And such type of problems are known as zeroth continuity problems or C0 continuity problems. Whereas in case of beams and plates, we have to determine the continuity of both displacement as well as slope over the entire domain. So this type of problems are known as first order continuity problems or C1 continuity problems. You can see the type of elements used in finite element analysis. This is the first type, which is called one-dimensional elements, and these elements are suitable for analyzing one-dimensional problems, and they are also called line or linear elements. So you can see these are the linear elements of comprises of two nodes, whereas this linear element comprises of three nodes. Whenever you will increase the number of nodes on the element, the property or the unknown variable will be defined on this selected points also, and it will also increase the accuracy of the analysis. So this is a typical example of linear elements. Similarly, we have two-dimensional elements where we need two-dimensional elements to solve two-dimensional problems. Common two-dimensional problems in stress analysis are plane stress and plane strain problems, and sometimes plate problems also. The common two-dimensional element used in the FEA is the three-noded triangular element. So this is a three-noded triangular element. So these elements are also known as the constant strain triangles, CST, or linear displacement triangles, because this triangle exhibit constant strain throughout the analysis domain. Now there are also example of 6-noded and 10-noded triangular elements, and they are used by the analyst. The 6-noded triangular element is known as linear strain triangle or as quadratic displacement triangle. So this triangle is called linear strain triangle. The 10-noded triangular elements are also known as quadratic strain triangles. So these are the few more example of strain triangles which are used for analysis in 2D problems. The another type of two-dimensional elements which are used in finite element analysis are the rectangular elements. They can be easily constructed automatically, but they are not well suited to approximate the inclined boundaries, and that's why they are less frequently used. You can see from this figure, this is a family of Lagrange rectangles, and this in case of Lagrange rectangles, we can even use the higher order elements also. I mean, more number of nodes. So this is a family of Lagrange rectangle in which nodes are arranged in the form of grid points. So you can see the nodes are arranged in the form of grids in case of Lagrange rectangles. So there is another family of serendipity rectangles which are having nodes only along the external boundaries. So these are the elements which are having the nodes only on the boundaries, surfaces and edges, and not at the center. And these are called the serendipity rectangle elements. Now we are having most important family of elements, that is three-dimensional elements. These are the few example of three-dimensional elements: tetrahedron and rectangular prism or brick elements. These are the example of hexahedron and quadratic, three-dimensional quadratic elements you can see. So the another type of finite elements used in analysis are the isoparametric elements, and the concept is based on the idea that we are going to use the same interpolation function or the shape function for defining geometry as well as the nodal unknowns. So even higher order triangular elements may be used to generate quadrilateral elements. So you can see the isoparametric elements are the elements which are used to capture the effect of curve boundaries. In case of isoparametric elements, shape functions are used for defining the geometry as well as the displacement. So as I said earlier, if the shape function which are used for defining the boundary and displacement are the same, then the elements are called the isoparametric elements. You can see if you are defining the geometry as well as displacement with the same number of nodes, then it is called isoparametric element. But if you are trying to define the geometry and displacement with uneven number of nodes, that is, if you are having more number of nodes to define the geometry from the so if you are having more number of nodes to define the geometry than the number of nodes for defining the unknown or displacement, then it is called the super parametric elements. In the third case, if you are having less number of nodes to define the geometry and high number of nodes to define the unknown or displacement, then it is called subparametric element. So these are three different or three higher order or isoparametric elements generally used in case of finite element analysis. So now you have another family of elements which is called axis symmetrical elements, and they are also called as ring type elements. And these elements are useful for the analysis of axis symmetric problems such as analysis of cylindrical storage tank shafts and rocket nozzles. The axis symmetric elements can be constructed from one or two dimensional elements. So whenever you rotate a one-dimensional element around the axis, you can see the conical frustum, and you can, if you rotate a triangular element about an axis, because it is a two-dimensional element, you will have a ring. So these are the type of elements which are used for capturing the behavior of elements about an axis So these are the elements which are used to analyze the axis symmetric problems. So thank you, students.